Because you all had the same experience, was there less of a need to talk?
No, no, we had to talk. We always had to talk about it. It just came out. It wasn't that we knew we have to talk or whatever. It just was coming out. It was constantly coming out. I have news for you. It's coming out till this day, all the time.
Is it would you say that there's an involuntary thing that happens with survivors when they see each other?
Absolutely.
How would you describe it? Is involuntary a good word?
I cannot even discuss. Whenever we get together, whatever the occasion is it a holiday, is it a party, is it anything that we are sitting together, we can talk about everything, politics and children and schools, and the end is our past. And we ourselves say, we cannot once finish an evening or an afternoon or something without it. It just comes out natural.
Does it make you laugh?
Sometimes, yes. We cannot get away from it.
Your whole life?
Till this day, and I think till the end of our lives.
Okay, now...
What it means,
well,
I'm not a psychologist.
Right.
But that's what it is. It must mean something.
Now that happens with people you know.
Yeah.
When you're traveling, or if you take a trip, if you went on a vacation with your husband somewhere, and you would notice someone that you would suspect is a survivor, and you would start talking, what would be the first 3 questions?
If I would see somebody that I would think that they are also survivors, I would try to come near and to say something, and right away you can tell because of the accent.
Right.
Excuse me, where are you from? This is the first question. The answer would be Poland, let's say. There are people from Germany, from Romania, from Hungary. But the second question, where did you survive the war? If this is a person that went through camps, where were you, what camp, and where were you after the war, etc., etc. There is no other way. That's the way it goes. The first question is, where are you from? The second one is, where did you survive the war?
What, is there a third question?
The third question would be, if this person comes from your hometown, from your city, oh, were you, where did you live?
Right.
What's your maiden name? If it's
Right.
a woman or a man, what is your name? Where did you live? What school did you go to find a closeness,
Right.
a binding?
Let's say they're not from your hometown, but they were liberated from a camp, and you're on vacation in Jamaica, and they're on vacation in Jamaica, and you now know they're survivors. You see them again?
In Jamaica or after?
No, in Jamaica. The rest of your vacation.
I think so. I think so.
Is
It
there?
would be a priority of other people.
In other words, do you tend to seek other
Oh,
survivors?
definitely. Definitely. There's no question about it. True life.
That you have always...
Only survivors. Only.
Okay. Now let's go back. So, most of the time in this year and a half, the most important thing you did was to be social and to recover and to heal.
Yes.
Now, in this town, now, when did you feel free? That you can remember? When did you say, I'm free?
It took a while. It took a while. The first few weeks it was very confusing. I used to say, oh, I don't have my yellow star on. It took so many years, and we were so young that it became like a fact of life. And when it was over, it had to take a time to get used to that you don't need it anymore. It takes time.
Were you scared or you just didn't believe it?
No, I wouldn't say I was scared. It was hard to comprehend it, that it really happened. We were waiting for it for 5.5 years, but when it happened, we couldn't believe it, that it really did.
When did you know you were really free?
After a few months, I started to already forget about the yellow star and...
Did you have a moment where you knew, I really am free?
Yes, I'm sure that...
Okay, so it came slowly, is what you're saying?
Yes, I would say so, yes.
How, can you separate that out from, when did you start to want to, was there a time you were trying to get through the war versus a time you wanted to start your life?
I would say it took a year until first of all, I was wandering around. No place to go, no place to be.
I mean,
You cannot start to make a life where you don't know. You have no place that
let's separate out emotions from physical. In other words,
one goes with the other.
okay,
If you don't have a place that you stay in and live in, your emotions are flying around. You don't know what's going to
Okay.
happen to you.
okay. So you're in Friedland.
Yeah.
What makes you leave Friedland?
Friedland was not a place for us to stay. It was a tiny little town. There was nothing there. It was not a place that we would even consider to stay.
So you leave, and what's your next stop?
We went the Bericha, which was an organization, an Israeli organization, that used to help people leave Poland. I don't know if the other countries too, but I know about Poland. It had to be in secrecy, because officially you're not supposed to leave the country. Not that I want us, but this was the law. So secretly they smuggled out people to Austria and Germany, to places where we were awaiting the next step, either Israel or the United States. And at that time, Israel was not yet a country. It was not allowed to come. It's a known fact that after 48, when it was proclaimed, we started officially.
So the Bricha came in to Friedland.
Yeah.
And they smuggled you out of Poland.
Yes, it was a group. Everything was in groups.
So how large a group were you? There were only 100 of you. Did they smuggle the whole 100?
No. They were different times. People left in different times. Didn't go at the same time.
So you went with
I went with my cousin and my friend left with her boyfriend prior to that. Like a few months after the liberation. She left with him to Germany. They met, they fell in love, and they left. my cousin and I, at that time also she met somebody, she was a few years older, and they actually got married.
This is your cousin Scylla,
So, yeah,
and she married.
Henry.
Okay.
But he stayed. For some reason, the two of us were connected
Smuggled.
to a girl and smuggled. We got into Salzburg, Austria.
So did you go the Jewish DP camp?
Yeah.
So the Bricha smuggles you to Salzburg,
Salzburg.
and what date?
What time?
We're talking about now a year and
October, September, October 45, 46.
no 46.
46.
Okay.
Yeah.
First, how long were you in Salzburg?
Through the whole winter until the spring.
So you're there about 6 months.
Something like that, yeah.
So now let's talk about Salzburg. Let me ask you one more question. Do you have friends today from the time from Friedland?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of the friends that you had from Friedland remain friends till
Yes.
today.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes. But most of them wound up in Israel, so it wasn't that we are able to socialize.
But you
We're
could,
always in touch.
okay. You're in Salzburg. Did you make friends while you were in Salzburg?
As we were there, we were friends, but this was not a lasting friendship because it was a short one.
You were there primarily to be smuggled to the next place. Okay. Tell me what your living environment was like in
Oh
Salzburg.
boy. It was big barracks. I don't know what it was before. And it was divided with curtains, cubicles. And each cubicle was a family. You know, when you think about it now, living a normal life after all these years, you can't believe it that they could ask people to live in such conditions after being liberated from camps. Unbelievable.
So you weren't in the little
Okay.
houses of
No,
Salzburg.
no.
Okay.
That was Salzburg.
Now, when you were in Salzburg for that 6 months, did you ever go to the opera house?
Oh yes.
Tell me about that.
Oh, that was really something most wonderful, because where I come from, in Lodz, there was no opera. There were theaters, there were concerts, but I, before the war, was too young. My mother used to take me to a movie or to a children's play or something, but nothing more. Then the ghetto, all these years, this was like a learning experience. I started to see, we went a few times a week because it was very inexpensive. We used to get a few mark there to go. So I saw all the operas, all the apparatus. It gave me so much knowledge that it's always going to be in my memory as a positive, wonderful thing, that this part.
Well, that's probably why the barracks didn't bother you so much.
No, it didn't. Not as I'm saying, it didn't bother me then, but it bothers me now
Well,
to think about it,
No, but that's today.
how horrible it was.
So you had the opera house.
Oh, yes.
Did you
yes.
go to the movies?
Oh, yes. Whatever it was shown, whatever it was going on, it was the first thing on the agenda.
So you socialized.
Oh, yeah.
So Salzburg was a place, and everybody in the camp was going to the
Of
opera,
course, most of the people.
and everybody was going to the movies.
Yes.
Now were there dances?
Not in this place. Not in this place, no.
Not that you knew about.
Maybe
Because-
I didn't, yeah. No, not in the place I was. If it would be dancing. Wait a minute. Where was this dancing? Yes, there was. You know what? I just remembered. They had some dancing. Yes. I forgot that it was in Salzburg. Yes. Yeah, we were.
They had, did they bring in bands for dancing?
Yeah.
Do you remember going?
Yes, of course.
But you didn't,
I love to dance. I love.
okay. They had a hall.
They must have. They must have been one of the whole. You know, it starts to.
Come back.
Yeah.
They, did you ever, do you remember attending, or were you there during a time where there was a high holiday?
No,
Okay.
because when we came, the holidays were over.
They had, did you, what was the mood, if you can remember, of the same age kids, your age?
Very good. Very good.
And by that you mean?
Going to the opera, singing whatever we heard there, dancing, as you said. Wanted to live. Wanted to live. Like young people, no matter what.
Do you remember if people talked about, did you talk to each other about the war?
Of course, in between, this was not a subject that we did not.
Wherever you went, did you talk about the war?
Of course, it has a connection. It's part of your life. You cannot erase it and start when you were 12 years old. If you want to eliminate the time of the war, you have to talk about times when you were little and up to 12 years old. But other than that, it would be nothing to talk about.
Who did you who were you with, Sella, your cousin Sella?
Yeah.
Did you meet anybody significant during that 6 months?
Not really.
No boyfriends?
No.
Okay. So 6 months passes, we're now in 1947.
No.
Or-
No.
October 46 you arrived there,
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yes.
and
you're
you're
right.
in the beginning of 1947.
Yes.
What's your next stop? Do they
We-
smuggle you out of there?
They smuggled us out, and I went to Munich. This was a DP camp, but of a different type.
What's it
There were
called?
little houses. Neusiedlung, Freimann. Before the war, there were working class living in these little houses. They had 2 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom downstairs, and like a living room and a kitchen and a bathroom.
Very nice.
You know, it's like every house had a little garden outside, things sort of. But this was given for the DP people. It's
Jewish.
Jewish. And the sister of the 2 boys that took us out from Halbstadt survived in Stutthof, where the whole group of few thousand women were shot and threw into the sea, the Baltic Sea. So this girl, she was maybe 22, and they were 3 of them, 2 others. The Germans hit them and they fell, and they thought that they are dead and left them there. They were running away from the Russians. They got up at night and wandered into a town, and they saw some lights, and some German people hid them because they knew that the Russians are coming in. That's the way they survived. And she was in that camp, Neufreimann. So when I came, I had a place to go. She took me in. And I was there for a length of time until,
Till how long?
when did I meet my husband? I was there for a year. I
Okay.
met my husband in
1948.
48, yeah.
Now, when they smuggled you, did they smuggle you for a reason? Or did they pick you up from Salzburg for a reason?
Well, they probably, this was the original plan. But why did we stay in Salzburg? Because I remember they said the borders were closed. Because we were supposed to go to Germany, not to Austria. But they closed the borders, so we were stuck, like.
Okay. And they came to pick you up because the borders were open?
Yeah.
So you didn't know, did you know they were gonna pick you up when they came?
I think they let us know. It's,
Okay. Anyway, so you were in Germany in the DP camp for a year.
yeah.
Now, in terms of, I know how it looked. What did you eat? How did you eat? Did you cook? Did you go to a central kitchen?
Well, they were giving out food.
Ration food?
Yeah, canned food. Ration.
What was the
food.
kind of food they would give you?
Nothing to be excited about.
Okay,
That's all I can tell you.
Now who was
Bread,
giving, was
and
it,
there were stations. They used to bring in food, and everybody had some. I think we had some cards, ration cards. I don't remember exactly, but we were getting some food, bread and milk and bare necessities.
who gave you the food? Was it Jews or was it
All
organizations?
Jews, all Jews. Everything was done by Jews.
So the camp is run by Jews?
Yes. Yes.
Were Jews having business in
They were, yeah.
In the camp?
Inside the houses, some had little stores.
Okay.
You know, with fabrics, with this. I don't know where they got it and how they did it, but
Okay.
some of them, yes. They.
Is that true of Salzburg also?
No.
You
no.
didn't see anything?
No, it couldn't be. This wasn't, as I told you, by curtains.
Okay, but in Germany it was different. You saw
Yeah.
some people having businesses.
Yes.
Did you know of any people starting businesses, or did you see Ort or in
Yes.
in Salzburg,
No,
or only in the other
no,
one?
No, only in Germany. There was an art. I attended. I wanted to learn something. So I went even to learn English. Somebody said that there's a German woman. I befriended somebody in that camp in Germany. She was already married. And we became friendly, and we used to go for lessons to this woman. What did we pay her with? With a can of peaches or something to eat, because they also didn't have much. So we learned a little English. Then I went to art. I was trying to learn how to type. Didn't go so well. Then they had sewing. I went for the sewing. It didn't go too well. But I was trying. Anyway, at one time I met my sister-in-law on a commemoration in Munich that I remembered from the ghetto, that I met her in a mutual friend's house. But the faces, we knew the faces because it was a small area. She looked at me, I looked at her, she says, I think I know you, blah, blah, blah. The end was she invited me to come where she lived, in that small town, with her brothers. And that's where I met my husband.
Okay. Exactly how did you meet your husband?
Being in with his, a guest, his sister's guest.
Okay. And when you saw him, were you attracted to him?
Yeah. I heard a lot of good things about him from people who knew him. Oh, he's so wonderful.
Now, you had not had any boyfriends to this point?
No.
So you were about 20?
At that time when
20,
I was
21?
married, I was
You were,
22.
okay, when you met him. Now,
When I met him, I was like 21. I got married, I was 22.
And what was his first reaction to you? That you know of?
He knew my family. He knew who I was exactly. He knew of my grandparents, etc., etc. And to him, it was a great honor that I became his girlfriend.
How fast did you become his girlfriend?
How fast?
How fast?
Oh, very fast. In those days, these things did not take long. It's not today. We have to date for 2 years and live together for 5.
How fast?
And then get married and then get divorced.
How
That's
fast?
today's
All right, you
time.
met him that night.
No, well, I saw him a few times. Then he came to Munich. I went back, where I stayed, and they took me out.
Did you know right away that you were going to
Yes,
marry him?
Yes.
Okay, so how...
And then his sister got engaged.
Wait. Let's stay on you. You knew you were going to marry him. Did he know he was going to marry you?
I guess so.
So how long before?
No, not long, few months.
A few months. So you...
His sister was engaged already, and he was giving her away. He was not the oldest, but he was always the main caretaker of the family. And they were supposed to have a wedding in the committee house
Yeah.
in that small town. And my husband was a very practical man. He used to talk about himself that way. He used to say, the kids know, I'm a practical man. And he really was. When we decided, he said, you know what? He said, let's do it together.
That's how you got married.
We had a double wedding.
So when you say that town, how far was... What was the town, and how far was the town
Markt Oberdorf. Dorf, which means not town, but a village.
It's a
It was
village.
really a village.
A village that was near the DP camp.
Landsberg.
That's another DP camp.
Yes.
So did you
It's a
move?
yeah.
Did you move out of the DP camp?
I was not in Landsberg.
No.
I-
Did you move out of the Jewish DP camp you were in,
Yes.
and you moved in with him
Yes.
into
yes.
the village?
Yes.
So that would be 1947.
8.
48.
May 48.
May 48. Okay. Now wait, I missed one question. Let's finish up on the DP camp. The social life. I asked you about Ort. Did you go to the movies
Oh, yes.
in the German,
In Munich.
in the Munich camp?
Oh, yes.
Was there opera? Was there theater?
Not in the camp, but you took the bus,
Yeah.
went into to the city. Oh yes, yesterday it happened, and I was with my son. We were waiting for the bus, and we said something about Hamlet. I said, I saw Hamlet in Munich, and my son asked me, was it in English or German? I said, of course it was German. And you understood? I said, of course. I knew German very well.
So, how big was that camp that you remember? Was it hundreds or thousands?
Oh, yes, there was thousands, I would say. It was
And
a big development. It was like a development of houses with little gardens, and this was like for working people.
So, did everybody go into the town and go to the movies?
A lot of people. I wouldn't say everybody. There's no such thing like everybody.
I won't say everybody.
But a lot of people.
Were you friendly with people?
Yes, I met there this couple that the woman used to go for lessons, English lessons with me, and we were friends in the States, and through them we got an apartment in Brooklyn, the first apartment.
And you were generally, now, was this a camp where you had different levels of friendship with lots of people? Just, you would talk to people in the camp?
Yes, I would talk to people, but to be maybe friends, not with everybody.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, yeah.
was it a camp where you knew a lot of, you didn't have to be best friends with everybody, but did you know a lot of, you were there a year?
Yeah, sure.
Even if it was someone that you knew when you would walk through the camp, did you still have the conversation, I'll call it the involuntary conversation, what camp were you from, where were you, would you have those kind of conversations?
Yes, if you met somebody, if anybody introduced you, oh, this is, where are you from? This is the first question, this
It's
is
always happened, okay.
If you want to identify the person, these were the questions. Where are you from? When did you survive the war? And if it's somebody, as I said, from my city, where did you live? Where did you go to school? Sometimes we, came across people that we knew.
Were there a lot, in the Salzburg camp, were there a lot of Polish people?
They were Polish, they were from Russia, people.
And in the German camp?
No, they were mostly Polish people. Oh, there were maybe some Hungarians, but really I don't remember any.
Okay. After you left the German Jewish DP camp, were you ever at another Jewish DP camp again?
No.
Did you
I
ever?
got married and
You lived with
in
your
the village.
husband?
Yeah.
Did you visit any other Jewish DP camps?
Oh yes. Oh,
Which
yeah.
camps?
My cousin came from Salzburg after me, and she was also in this Freiman camp. I used to come to visit her all the time, sure.
Is there any other camp you visited? Did you ever go to Landsberg?
Oh, Landsberg a lot, because that was just
Near.
very close. And if you needed some clothes or something, that's where we used to buy. People had little businesses there.
Now, how different a camp was Landsberg to the camp?
Landsberg was more like they had businesses already, stores. It was a little bit more developed.
Could you tell, was that also a lot of Polish people? Or
Yes.
could you tell, did you know a lot of people in that camp?
Not too many, but I knew some.
Okay, so now you're a married woman, and you live in a village. Do you have a small circle of friends?
Oh, yes.
Who's in that circle?
Polish Jews. And most of them just happened to be from Lodz.
And you all live in the same town?
Same village.
And the name of the village is?
Markt Oberdorf.
Can you spell that?
It's Bavaria.
It's Bavaria.
Yeah.
And
I
you
can spell it, sure.
Go ahead.
M-A-R-K T. Oberdorf. O-B-E-R-D-O-R-F.
Okay.
Oberdorf.
So who were the couples that were together in this village?
Mostly from large couples.
Give me 5 couples, 6 couples?
No, more than that.
Was this village little Jewish village?
No, they were German.
So you were just a small minority?
Small minority, yeah.
What made you live in the village?
I came, my husband and his family lived there. They came from after the war. How they got there, one pulled the other, I don't really know.
Why did they stay there?
They had to stay someplace. They were
Did they have
happier to stay in a place like that than to be in a DP camp. It still was more decent, you know.
Oh, did he have a
Nice.
business or something?
Yes.
Oh,
My
that
husband started, that was before we got married. He acquired some autos, and he had a little business like chauffeuring, like how you call it, service,
Okay.
taxi service.
Taxi service, okay.
Yeah.
So he
Not
had a,
for the village, but to bring people to Munich, to bring people here, to bring. That was what he did then.
so his family, he had his family, he had a business. So you married in what month of 48?
May
And you,
27.
how long did you live in this town?
How long? I tell you, since May 27, and we left September 49.
So you were there about a year and 3 months. In the year and 3 months, you were primarily with the same circle of friends.
Yes.
Did the circle grow at all?
No, whoever was there
Was there.
Yeah.
And in that time, you also got pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay. What, during this period of time, how would you characterize it? Was it
It was quite boring, if I would say so,
okay,
because there was just one little movie house, and then played the same movie for God knows how long. It wasn't much of entertainment, and once in a while I used to take a trip to Munich and to visit my cousin and go someplace with her, but it was a very boring life there.
so you had much more to do living in the DP camps.
Sure, because it was
You could go to the opera in
it was
Salzburg.
open places,
and-
yeah.
So married life,
It was a bore. He was always busy. It was boring.
it was boring. So you were happy then, I would imagine, when you...
I was happy that I had a home and I had a husband, that everything was good, but this place was such a bore. Tell you.
All right, so then how did you decide, did he know you were bored?
And of course he knew, no, he couldn't help it. We were sitting there like on a station, waiting for the train to come to go out.
Right.
We had already papers to go to the States. My husband had an aunt
Right.
that came here before the war, and she sent them papers. And we just were waiting and waiting and waiting. This was the life in the DP camps and all the other places in Germany that Jews were sitting. It was a waiting corridor, just waiting to emigrate.
So if you had to describe 1945 to 1949, or if listening to you, I had to describe it, I'd say recovery, then starting to have a little fun, then get me somewhere. How would you describe it?
I would say it's the same, in the same order.
Like there are stages.
Stages, yes.
That you were
Well,
with,
stages are always in everybody's life.
but by the
stages.
time you were married,
Yeah.
it sounds to me like by the time you were already in Germany, you felt free and
Oh,
you
yeah.
were
Yeah.
recovered
Yes.
and you were
I was
You were-
looking forward for a life.
it's like